Most B2B companies get advertising completely wrong. Running paid ads is actually the easy part. But what do customers go through when they click on your ad? What is the exact journey that you take them on? In this video, I'm going to go over the exact funnel that we build out for our B2B clients. B2B companies usually use tactics that huge enterprise companies in their niche use, meaning they run ads straight to their homepage that has generic brand language, and then they have absolutely no real mechanism to convert them. You're not in a position to just burn cash on brand awareness and hope for the best. So in case you don't know who I am, my name is Dylan Wart, and I'm the founder of Margin Maxing. We are a B2B-centric advertising firm that works exclusively with B2B companies, where we come in, we build out their complete ad funnel end to end, we run it for them, and we help them scale. And we've seen exactly what happens when you don't have a proper backend. Every call that doesn't turn into a client is just money lost. So if you want to check out what we do more in detail, there's a link in the description where you can go through the video on our page and get a better feel for what we do and how we do it. But in this video, I'm going to go over the exact system we implement for our clients and go in depth on how you can implement it yourself. I'm going to show you the full process from the offer to the VSL to the exact pre-call sequence that actually gets people to show up and close. So let me just jump straight into it. So this is our full process when building out an entire funnel for a new client. So in this video, I'm going to focus on this part specifically. And this is the funnel infrastructure. So the funnel that we build for B2B firms looks something like this. So you have ads, and these ads run to a landing page. And on this landing page, you have the headline, you have the video sales letter, you have an application, and inside that application is also a scheduler to book a call. And then when someone books a call, they go to a confirmation page, which is a page that basically has even more videos on it. And each video on this page answers a specific question or handles a specific objection. And the goal of this is to basically educate the prospect and handle all of their first and second order questions right after they've booked a call. And after this, there's some space until the call actually happens. So this looks really simple, and it is at a high level very simple. But once you get more into the details, there's a lot of things that B2B companies tend to mess up. And I'm going to go in depth on those details. So the first thing that we do for our clients when building out this funnel is we create a cold traffic offer. And in every video I mention this because everything is downstream of the offer. The offer is absolutely necessary in order for any of the other parts to work. And that's why it's the first thing that we do. So again, we have a video on this going more in depth on the offer, on the cold traffic offer that you can check out. But basically the offer is a quantifiable or measurable transformation that your clients get when they work with you and use your services. And this needs to be expressed with clarity and in the following order, which is X result plus Y time frame plus risk reversal or guarantee. So just a really basic example of this, like let's say you were a consultant and you were consulting CEOs who need help managing their time. So something that we would see is something very vague, like start leveraging your time effectively, right? But a cold traffic headline would be recover 10 to 15 hours a week lost to operational chaos in 30 days. That has much more clarity than the above example. And the thing about your headline and your offer is brand language is good for building your brand and it's good for organic traffic. So feel free to keep that on your homepage. But when it comes to paid ads, you need to have a dedicated landing page that has a cold traffic offer, because with paid ads and paid traffic, which is people who don't know you and are just clicking on an ad and landing on your page, they need to immediately know what they get out of it, in what time frame, and why they should trust you, all in one headline. And that's what the cold traffic offer is. And therefore, it's clarity over brand for paid ads specifically. So when we come in, we start with the offer, and then we create the video sales letter. And then from that, we create the landing page, and then the confirmation page. And then from that, we build the email sequences, and then we create the ads. So the ads are the last thing that we create. All right, so let's take a second and focus on the VSL. So the video sales letter, we have an entire video breaking this down, but this is basically your conversion mechanism on your page. So if you're selling to B2B, the psychology of B2B buyers is that they take risk, right? They're making high-risk decisions for their business all the time. And they are also capital rich, but they're time poor. So they have the capital to invest in your service, They have the ability to take the risk and pay for your high ticket service if it makes sense, but they're time poor, so they have a short attention span and they need clarity. They need to make a decision as fast as possible. And if it doesn't make sense to them, or they can't figure out what it is that you do or what they get out of it, they're going to bounce from your page and they're going to find someone who does explain in a better way. So what the VSL does is it does all of that for them in usually 7 to 12 minutes. And in these few minutes, you can introduce the problem that your B2B buyer, your ICP faces, the exact problem. You explain the problem. You introduce the solution, which is your service. You go in depth on your service, the mechanism, the onboarding, what everything looks like, your service delivery, and then you end with a call to action. And the CTA is to book a call. So the crucial point of this, all of this, the video sales letter basically compresses all the information that your B2B buyer is looking for when making a decision. Because if you just expect someone who's qualified to make a decision, but they don't have the time to sit down and put the pieces together themselves before they move on to your competitors, you need this conversion mechanism to give them all the information they need. Because if you expect them to book a call just from an ad and just from a headline, there's too much friction because it's too much of a commitment to book a call with you because it takes time out of their day and there's also sales pressure, right? Most B2B buyers feel the most comfortable making decisions before they talk to a sales team. Something like 80% make a decision before they even talk to your team. So what this means is you have to give them all the information up front. You can't gatekeep information because they're just going to go to someone who doesn't gatekeep information, someone who gives the price, explains everything, and doesn't hold everything back behind the call. So next I want to go into the confirmation page a little bit. So this is immediately after they book, right? The goal here is to establish heavy social proof and answer every hard-hitting question about your offer that they may have. So that's first and second order questions as well as objections. And this can come from your sales data. Meaning if you have sales calls, you want to analyze them, you want to talk to your sales team and identify the most common questions that you hear on the phone when it comes to your service and also the objections that come up that stop someone from buying. And if you don't have a lot of sales data, you can also use market research and find third-party data online to create these assets. Okay, so now the problem is the time between they consume the VSL, they consume the videos on the confirmation page, but you don't have the call in the same day, right? Typically for a B2B sales process, typically you'll expect a 48 to 72 hour window between the actual booking and the call. So the problem is there's a 48 to 72 hour window where nothing's going on, nothing's happening. And the goal of this window in our funnel is to ensure that no one shows up asking first order questions like, what is your service? Why should I care? How do I know that this is the right choice for me? And these are answered in the VSL and the confirmation page, but the problem is your buyers are extremely busy, right? They're not going to remember everything that was on the page 3 days ago. And they're also probably going to do research on their own, or they're going to be talking to multiple other of your competitors. So the entire goal is for this one-on-one interaction to happen, which is the call. You want to have targeted second and third order questions. Like these are questions that are actually necessary to get on a call with someone one-on-one and speak to a person. You don't want to be answering first order questions that could be answered in a video. That way your time isn't wasted and their time isn't wasted. So there's actually 4 systems that we put in place during this time, this 3-day window, right? So the first is obviously like the automated confirmation where they get a confirmation for the booking and then before the call. This part doesn't really matter because this is what everyone implements when they're building a marketing funnel, right? So the first real one is the email sequences, and let me go through that in depth. So the email sequences, we have 4 different sequences that run simultaneously. And let me explain what each sequence covers. So first you have the engagement sequence. This introduces your offer. It establishes the founder. You basically say, hey, we're going to get you X result in Y time frame. This is what to expect on the call. be sure to do this, this, and this before coming on the call. Just establishing expectations and introducing you as the brand. So email 1 is an overview. Email 2 is an in-depth of the offer. So here's exactly what we offer. Here's exactly what we do. Here's the guarantee if you have one. Email 3 is a breakdown of each step that you do in the process. And then email 4 is just the primary benefit, right? You're just explaining what this service actually does for you so you understand what you get out of it and why you should care. So the sales-led sequence is completely education. So it's purely educational. You're basically instilling the beliefs that you want your prospect to have in order to become a client. You want to break down any preconceived notions, basically educate the reader on why your service works, why what they've tried before hasn't worked, prime them for understanding the value of what it is that you provide. Somewhere in here you want to have a do-it-yourself email, if it makes sense, where you kind of explain exactly how they could do your service themselves. And the purpose of this email is to kind of break down all of the effort that it takes for them to do it on their own, so that they actually understand the value in investing in you as a service rather than just doing it on their own. And basically each email is just going on 1 or 2 main points on what your service is and remind the reader of the pain points that they are dealing with that you solve. So for the objection handling sequence, you're basically taking all of the objections and questions from the confirmation page and you're putting it into email form, where everything in your videos are laid out in text so that the answer to their question is all there in the email. And that's why we call these value dense emails, because every email should have a complete answer to each question. And then the final sequence is the risk reversal sequence, where you kind of go over your offer again and you just remind them of everything that your offer entails and the risk reversal and guarantee that you have. So one thing we do with these emails is we actually send 4 emails a day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, every 3 hours. 1, 2, 3, 4. So your first reaction to this is probably, why are we sending so many emails in such little time? Wouldn't that be spamming? And that's a really good question, but you have to remember who you're selling to, right? You're selling to someone who is capital rich, but time poor. And what that means is what you're actually doing when you're sending all these emails, because these are value dense emails. These aren't just confirmation reminder emails. Each email has a question and an answer that you've determined through either through your sales data or through market research or both, that your prospect has. They have these questions, they have these objections, they have these concerns, and you're answering them and you're addressing them all before they come on a call. So what you need to do is you actually need to reframe this. You're giving them all the information they need so that they can make a decision as quick as possible. They can become educated and move on to something else if your service doesn't make sense for them. So it's a win-win. You're saving yourself time, you're actually educating your prospect so they show up warm, and this compresses your sales cycle. And for your prospect, they get all the information they need. So this is a net good. So the next form of education that we do is content retargeting. So these are 30 to 40 short form content pieces that are only shown to people on social media, so that's Facebook and Instagram, who have booked in a call. And each of these content pieces also addresses first order, second order questions, and also handles objections. And a single prospect could be hit with 15 to 20 or even 30 of these content pieces. And again, these are value-based content, which means that it's actually helpful for your prospect to consume these. And since we are using paid advertisement, we primarily do meta ads. We acquired your prospect through meta ads. So we're basically just retargeting content to them just like we did with the ad. So ultimately what this does is it guarantees that your prospect is going to consume some type of content before they get on a call with you, right? They land on a page that has all the videos addressing concerns and objections and questions. They get all these emails, right, that do the same exact thing, and they get all this content, right, So basically, depending on the type of person that you're dealing with within your ICP, either they're going to consume content because they're on their phone all the time, which is usually true even for B2B buyers, or they're going to read the emails, or both, right? So far all of this is automated. Even though it's value dense, it's still just automation. And so the question is, how do we maximize show rate, right? And the way that we do this is through personal outreach. So we train our clients to create 30-second personal outreach videos. So these are selfie videos that basically just show your face, introduce the company, just say, hey, I saw you booked in, let me know if you have any questions. You can use this opportunity to send sales assets that are catered to their questions, right? If they have a specific question, you can send them a specific piece of content that we've created to answer that question. And what this does is it basically creates a bias that creates more friction. Now you have a human that you've interacted with that you don't want to let down, right? It just naturally, the way humans are, the way human nature is it's harder to not show up to that call now. So we have a video sent when they book the call, and then another video right before the call happens. And what all of this does, this whole system here, is it dramatically increases your show rate. It dramatically increases your qualified rate, right? Because the people who do show up are educated and ready for next steps. And also remember, the VSL, the video sales letter, is before booking the call, and we have an application on the page that qualifies. So the people coming through your funnel are heavily filtered and also heavily educated. And it also dramatically increases the close rate. With this system in place, the entire system that we build, you can comfortably expect a 7 to 8% increase in your close rate just from this system without changing anything in your sales process on your end. So again, just to drive this home, when you focus on the back end, your prospects show up significantly warmer, making your entire sales process and paid ad funnel much more profitable. So this entire system ensures that you scale profitably. So that's the complete system. Every call you generate that doesn't turn into a client is just money lost. But when you build out this back end, you stop bleeding cash and you actually start scaling. Now, you can definitely take this framework and implement some of this on your own. I'll leave some resources down in the description below to help you get started with that process. But if you're looking at this and you're thinking like, I don't really want to build all of this myself, and you'd rather have someone just install the entire system into your business for you, then check out the link below in the description. You can book a call with me, and on that call, we'll go over exactly how we would build this custom system for you and your specific offer. And also, as soon as you book the call, you're going to immediately see an example of this exact pre-call system in play. So go ahead and click below, and I'll talk to you soon.